Today we're going to learn how to draw anything. Let's say I asked you to draw an elephant. You probably know what they look like and could draw one, but is it accurate? No, that doesn't look like mine. So let's try breaking this down into some basic shapes. His ears are a diamond. His head is like a rounded off triangle. His legs are rectangles. So let's try again. That's a little bit better. Now, one way that you can get better at drawing something specific is to do a 5-minute, 3-minute, 1-minute, 30-second challenge. You time yourself and try to draw as fast as you can. And as you get less time to draw, you're forced to simplify your drawing. Sometimes they look really silly, especially the 30-second ones, but it does help your brain find the best way to draw something quickly. Your 5-minute will be the most detailed because you have the most time. And if you find 5 minutes isn't enough, you can start with 10, then 5, then 2, then 1 minute. By the time you get to your 1-minute drawing, your brain already knows the best shortcuts to take to get drawing quickly. That 30-second one looks pretty silly, but it's definitely identifiable as an elephant. Now let's look at the elephants from before. They're not better or worse than the one I'm now drawing. They're just different, and it all comes down to personal preference. Now, the best way to draw anything is to practice. Let's take this tarantula. When you look at the basic shapes, you can start to sketch it out. 3 parts of her body and 8 segmented legs. It's not the best drawing, but it's more accurate than I could have done without the reference image. Let's do the same thing with the panda. Start with the basic shapes, and once you start coloring it in, you're using some of those different lines to make it look fuzzy. And you can even draw people. I find drawing people to be very difficult, but once you break down into shapes, you can draw anything. This is my cat Francine, laying on her back. Normally when I think of cats, this is not the shape I think of them in, so that's why it's good to practice. Now, as we simplify, it gets easier to break down really complex things into simple shapes. Then you can go back and add detail. So instead of a bunch of complicated arms and legs, you get some simple rectangles. After you've drawn the same thing a couple of times, you start to understand it a little better, and you can draw without a reference picture. And once you practice enough, you can start to simplify again because you know what's most important. Let's look at the differences between a realistic picture and a cartoon. The cartoon shapes are a lot more simplified. His nose is a different shape. His mane doesn't have the same stripes, and he has fewer stripes overall. That's because if you have the actual number of stripes, it can get very distracting when you're trying to draw a simple picture. But the more you practice and understand the basics you need to get an idea across, the more you can play with it to make it your own. Thanks for watching, and remember to draw every day to complete the Inktober challenge.